Today we're finding out if you can install this without a pro. Welcome to Try It with Tracy. Today I'm going to be replacing my 20-year-old Toro sprinkler system with the Rachio smart Wi-Fi sprinkler system. Rachio claims this is an easy DIY. However, it's typically marketed to pros. What we're going to decide after going through this process today using Tracy's truth meter: is it going to be an easy DIY, or should you just go ahead and hire a pro? First thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and unplug it. I cannot find where to control this outlet power in my garage because I just bought this house about 4 months ago. So we're just gonna unplug it, and these should be low voltage wires, so I will be careful and stop if I find any problems. So the first thing you have to do is take off the panel. And that is probably going to be the hardest thing to figure out. And what I'm really stressing about right now as I look at this, I can't figure out how to get this controller off the wall. The first thing I'm gonna do is make sure I label these wires. I'm just gonna use some simple painter's tape and a pen and assume that the first one is zone 1, the second one is zone 2, so on and so forth. Honestly, I think one of the best tools you have in your toolkit when you are replacing an old sprinkler system is taking out your phone, take video, and take photos to see exactly how the wires are connected. Okay, so here's everything all set up. This is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. I'm not really sure what's 5 and 6, so I picked 5 for the black and 6 for the blue. The thing is, you've got to pull all these wires out, and I found the simplest way to do that is to flip these up. These are low voltage for sure, and so I'm not getting zipped or zapped as I do this. Move those, because that is completely unplugged, and pull those out. And then I'm just gonna pull this through here and get it out of the way. I am going to see if I can pull this back through. All right, now all of the wires are out of the way. Let's keep these all separated, shall we? So the next part is trying to get this off the wall. And like when I pull it and twist it and turn it, I'm not really sure how I'm gonna do that. So ultimately I ended up standing on a stool and looking down in there, and all I had to do is lift up and pull out. Rachio gives you this handy dandy mounting template. I think I'm gonna reuse this hole since it's here, and then I only have to drill 2 holes instead of 3. Gotta make sure these 2 holes are level. So I use a really small drill bit to test to see what's behind the wall. And so we're gonna go in dead center. All right, drywall, drywall. Is there wood back there? Maybe, we're gonna find out. And by the way, I'm getting a nice dewy glow because it's only 90 degrees here in Charlotte, North Carolina during the summer. I'm going a little rogue. Instead of using those little blue anchors that came with the Rachio device, I'm gonna be using screw anchors. I feel like they're much sturdier, but the big thing is when you do that, you need to check against the screw that comes in the kit with the anchor versus the one that you're gonna use, because you wanna make sure that it's gonna fit through the hole on the Rachio mounting plate. I have had problems with that before, so just double check. Well, yeah, that was a mistake. Best laid plans, I guess. Actually, when I went to put the screw anchor in that hole that I'm reusing, there's actually a stud back there. Let's see if these other screw anchors are gonna work. Hopefully I don't bump into any trouble. I always tap them in first before I start screwing them in. Okay, now it's time to read the instruction manual. Kidding. Not kidding. Actually, I've been doing this without reading the instruction manual, so I thought I would take a peek. But what I wanted to know is how to get everything connected. So what's really neat about this system is this little magnetic plate comes right off. We are going to attach this to the walls, and it's great because we don't have to force the wires through anything. So there's just a little opening right there. If you like this Try It with Tracy content, please tell me in the comments below you want to see more of this. Give it a like and give me a subscribe. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. I'm first putting the screws in with the anchors just to give myself some stability. I believe that there's a stud back there. Okay, so that's nice and secure, firmly attached to the wall, and luckily I was able to hit that stud. And now the fun part, I've got to reattach the wires. This seems pretty straightforward that I'm gonna reconnect the white to the white, zone 5. So after reading this, I'm feeling like I don't have a master valve, so I'm actually gonna pop this one back out for now. After going back and looking at my old map of where my wiring was, I do believe this is a different zone, so this is gonna be zone 6. Believe all the wiring is correct. Now, the only other thing to do is to plug this in. There, she got power. It's not perfect, but ta-da! So now the only other thing to do is get this bad boy connected to Wi-Fi, which means you gotta download the Rachio app. The thing to really pay attention to is as you are setting it up in the app, these lights are giving you cues as far as is it working or is it not. At one point in time, it did not connect to my Wi-Fi network and I got a red light bar and I knew I was having a problem. You can see I've got all the blue lights, which means the Rachio sprinkler system is completely hooked up and set up on Wi-Fi. I now have it running off of the app. I've tested every single zone. It was a super simple process to go through. Of course, as soon as I finished editing and filming, I realized that one of my zones was not watering all these back trees during this heat wave, so I had to call a professional. So where does this Rachio smart controller sprinkler fall on the Tracy truth meter? I'm giving it a 2, which is readers required. And readers for me are glasses on my face. As long as you follow the instructions to a T and you have some light DIY experience and a phone that's connected to the internet, you too can set up this Rachio smart sprinkler controller. This is an hour-long project from start to finish, taking down your old sprinkler system, installing the new one, setting it up with the app and Wi-Fi, and testing your zones and naming them. That whole process only took me 1 hour. For me, changing out this old Toro sprinkler controller wasn't about adding another smart gadget to my life. What I really appreciate about this controller is how finitely I can control the zones. A much smarter way and also a more water efficient way to water both my landscaping and my grass. Now, if you're not a high-tech person, I could see where this might be a little bit intimidating, and you may want to hire a pro just for that reason. But the actual physical installation and the app setup, I felt like was really user-friendly, but I'm a high-tech girl and a super nerd. The best thing for me was saving money. Irrigation guys charge a lot of money to install these sprinkler controllers, and I just saved myself a ton of money by DIYing it. So it was just the cost of the controller and my free labor. Before you ever buy the Rachio smart controller, make sure you know how many zones you have. Most people don't have more than 8 zones. I love this because right now I have 4 active zones that I can expand all the way up to 8 zones, which I likely will because I'm going to be adding some more shrubs and bushes. I did turf the backyard, so I don't have to water that. That's gonna save me a few bucks. Now that you've watched this episode of Try It with Tracy and you're interested in purchasing and installing a Rachio smart sprinkler system, I've got the product linked in the description box below. So I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Please give me a like, a subscribe, and share it with a friend who may benefit. Hope to see you in another video again soon.